Before we start today's episode, got to give a huge shout out to our friend Dom at Big Four Transparency. Big Four Transparency is the first sponsor of the Accounting Conversations podcast, and they are changing the game for accounting professionals with their salary and compensation data. If you haven't visited the database before, we'll leave a link in the description. But you can essentially go in, add your salary and job data, and then view the thousands and thousands of other entries that have been put in and ensure that based on your city and the type of firm that you work at, that you're being compensated correctly. Um, I've used the data not only to help some of my friends, but in my own life, and it is just going to be such a game changer moving forward in the profession.
Yeah, I think that I've definitely used it too. You can slice it any way you want. You can see if you have a certain certification, you can see which what people with your same certification and years of experience are making. If you want to know what that next promotion looks like if you're at a firm that has quite a bit of data, you can go in there and see what the potential's like, what the hours are like. There's a lot there that can be helpful.
So make sure you go check out the link in our description to go visit Big Four Transparency today. Now on to the episode. We have our most exciting announcement yet for Accounting Conversations, and I just want to start off by saying I'm just blown away by where we're at today. Never imagined that I would have met the people I've met and been able to build relationships and go to conferences and do all these things because of the podcast. So grateful to be where I am today and excited now to finally announce, this has been in the works for several months, but finally announce my co-host, Kaden Cook, who's going to be joining me here on Accounting Conversations. And we're going to be doing some rebranding and reaching out to some new audiences. So excited. Kaden's here with me and excited for these new announcements.
Yeah, man, it's good to finally record this intro episode with you. We kind of have been, like you said, in the works talking. We agree on a lot of things. We disagree on some things. So we hope to bring you some little arguments too, and just bring in all sides of the accounting world. Just trying to put it all out there, help out some people.
Hey, everyone knows that zero's better than QuickBooks, so it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, let's get into it a little bit. What are some new things we're bringing to the table, right? So I'm the intern, I'm the student, going to be graduating soon, and we'll have some things come out on that part of the journey. But Kaden, you're the most listened to episode thus far of Accounting Conversations. I would assume a lot of people know a little bit about your background, but what are some things you're going to be bringing to the table that are maybe a little bit different from my perspective, and how do we want to be different from some of the other accounting podcasts that are out there right now?
Yeah, I really admire that you even started this up, and I think that what we bring to the table is I'm like 2 years into my career, so I graduated just a few years ago, got my CPA now, but still in that really early level where I'm not exactly sure where like my career is going to end up. Don't have that perfect path or anything, but I just think that what we can bring to the table is that a lot of the podcasts that are out there are by firm owners or people that aren't actually working, and so we want to bring the real stuff from the people that do the work, right? Like, what do we think about it? The private equity, the hourly billing versus, like, does that matter to a staff? We'll bring it to you, but we've got that a little closer to the doer's role perspective.
Yeah, and specifically with you, we're going to be able to look at the associate, senior associate, getting up to manager and senior manager area, which we haven't been able to show before. So that'll be a new section of the audience we're going to be able to target, not just students and entry level professionals, but people who are kind of in the middle of the road, if you know what I mean, which is going to be really, really exciting. Something else I want to mention too that you kind of touched on. There's a lot of cloud accounting podcasts and a lot of firms that are doing some really cool things right now. And you're at Summit Virtual CFO, which is quite honestly one of the top firms in the cloud accounting space that's doing new things. So you're going to be able to bring that perspective of being at a little bit of a bigger cloud accounting firm, top 100 firm, and then I'm at a small, 5 to 7 person firm that's just starting out, just getting their processes in place. And so we're going to be able to bring two different perspectives from that standpoint as well, which is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I think even another one for you is that the that I live in a small town in Idaho, rural Idaho, and you're in California, big states, big city. So um, bring you some different perspectives that way too.
And you went the advisory route, which I hope to do some work with in the future, but I'm for now going the tax route. And so we're also going to be able to share those perspectives and share our career journeys, hopefully both on our paths to partner at some point. And you guys will get to see and hear about the whole journey, which I love. Want to really focus on, and you mentioned this earlier, but the things, the content we're going to bring. So, and we're going to be pushing things out on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. We're going to be pushing a whole lot more than we have been in the past. But what kind of content should the young professionals, students, associates, middle level accountants, what should they expect from the podcast? And how are we really going to differentiate ourselves from these other podcasts, like you mentioned?
Well, we mentioned it a little bit, but it's the perspectives that they're not giving. Like for example, on the pipeline shortage, like if you're just coming up, should you get a CPA? Like they're talking about bringing people into the CPA, but I mean, let's take it from the bottom. Should you get your CPA? What other certifications should you get? Um, what like one that I really like that I'll just give a brief thing about, but one thing I think is really interesting is thinking about, okay, so all these people are talking about how hourly billing isn't the way to go anymore. And what does that mean for you as a staff? Because I think that you will do what your employer incentivizes you to do. So if they're incentivizing you on hours, um, then you're going to just put in a bunch of hours on the work. But if they're incentivizing you, and me and Shane have talked about this offline, that we love the variable pay kind of model where, I mean, pay me per tax return. I'll get really good. I'll crank those babies out and then I'll get lots of money. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like we love that. And I think that's where we're going. And so we're going to help you find a job and internships and stuff that really get you to where your values lie.
Yeah, and on that last point, we're going to help land internships and jobs. That is the goal of this podcast, is to show there is a better side to accounting than going with the Big Four. When I started this podcast, it was unclear where my journey was going, right? But and I'm sure there will be more content coming out on this in the future, but I've decided to stick with a smaller firm and stick with a cloud accounting firm, one that focuses on people and on technology and on growth. And we want to get as many students and young professionals to the cloud accounting space as we can, because that's where, ideally, where me and Kaden believe the future of accounting is with these firms like Summit and Hall CPA and all of these wonderful influencers and people who are really changing the profession, not just saying it with their words. And so if we can help in any way possible in that process, and that's what the point of the podcast is, but that's where we're here. So any questions or concerns you have or topics you want to hear about, we are all ears open and ready to take on those topics and help as many professionals as we can.
Yeah. And I just think, I mean, you kind of brought this up like when you first started the podcast, your first episode, ushering in the golden age of accounting. I think that's where we're coming to. It's a good time to be an accountant. I feel really grateful and blessed to be in accounting. I never dreamed that like I could like as I was going through college, I didn't really think too much about being able to um, work from a small town in Idaho and work for a firm that's in the top 100 and not live in Boise because that's the only big enough city for a big firm. And so I thought I was going to have to work in regional firms the rest of my life or industry, but I can work from home. I can be here and have that flexible life. I think that's why it's a good time to be in accounting is you can make your career what you want it.
Yep. The opportunities are literally endless, and it's going to continue to be that way because the shortage just keeps getting worse. And we're going to continue to see changes in the right direction, but it's up to each of us to really help push the profession forward. And I think we both exemplify that as people who want to make the profession for the next generations even better. Um, the opportunities, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit at all, the opportunities literally, I mean, the money's waiting there for you. Put in your time, put in the hours, get to know the profession, get the certifications you need, and you can literally make almost as much money as you would like if you are willing to put in the work. And that's just the opportunity that's there that's not being talked about in school. So that's another thing. We're going to bring you all the things you're not hearing in school. We're going to bring them right to you and give you the resources so that you can find them and get to the right place, which is just so exciting. We're so excited to be here.
Totally. I think so too. I mean, we talk about even starting your own firm. I mean, the cost it's accounting is one of the lowest startup costs for a business. It's just like you can start with a one-person show, two-person show. You can't do that in a lot of industries. Um,
And it's
so
just tech. You're only paying for tech. That's all you're paying for.
yeah, and I mean,
And
I was just gonna say that like I mean, I've been seeing posts and stuff about people the track to partner, the track to ownership gets shorter and shorter because those that are coming up right now in the industry are learning the tech where these older partners just some of these middle level people aren't learning it as fast, and so it's shortening the time for people that can learn it fast.
yep. So kind of getting to what you should expect with some of these changes that we've made to the podcast. For one, we're going to be putting out a lot more content on a variety of different platforms. So you'll be able to find us in shorts on TikToks, Facebook posts, our regular LinkedIn posts like you've been seeing them. And obviously, we're on all the podcasting platforms that we've mentioned before: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Um, but we're also going to add some things in. So we've had our regular interview podcast once a week. Every once in a while now, we're going to be sprinkling in some episodes like Kaden talked about in the very beginning. So we'll have some debate episodes, maybe some Zero QuickBooks or carbon tax dome debates, whether or not you should be using AI to help with reporting. Um, and oh, go ahead, Kaden. You're gonna.
I was going to say one of our latest ones was should you niche? Should you like
Yeah,
when you're a staff, like should you be looking to niche or should you be looking for a generalist position? Like where should you be on that spectrum? And I think we have some differing opinions a little bit, I think.
yeah, and we're gonna give this younger perspective, right? We hear a lot of owners talk about these things, but what do the students and the middle level associates and seniors think about these types of issues? So you'll get to hear all of that. We're also, if there's big news that breaks, we will talk about that. Big news here in California just this last week is that they might be getting rid of the 150-hour rule and be putting in a 2-year experience requirement instead. And so we're probably going to have an episode drop on that because that is massive news here in the United States. Um, so we're gonna pick up some of these news things that come through in the accounting industry, talk about them. If there's big technology or AI drops, we'll probably do, me and Kaden will do a quick episode there, and obviously have some debate episodes, and those will be supplemented in on top of the weekly interview episodes. So not every week can you expect 2 episodes, but we'll be sprinkling an extra episode in there probably every other week there, so we have some more content.
Yeah, totally. And you know where to find us. We're on LinkedIn. We're going to be expanding, so let us know what you want to hear about, and we'll give you the perspectives.
Yeah, and if we can get this thing going enough, I'd love to do some live sessions and do some Q&A, or get to know our listeners. I think that'd be super cool. So, well, I think this is it for today. Super excited for the relaunch. Make sure you repost and follow us on all of our platforms, and we're excited to have you along for the journey.